And then we have early childhood planning. Dr. Zalis is going to update us again on development of early childhood planning.
Sorry, Nancy. Just a quick update on the numbers. If somebody watching, if they would just ask 3 of their friends that haven't completed it before to do so, we would get to 700. This seems to be a good round number. But there was a soft closure to the survey, meaning that if someone really missed an opportunity to watch the video and take it, it's still open. But as you know, we're working with those numbers haven't changed, so it's up about 10 from the last time that we talked. Go ahead, Nancy. I just really want to share the timeline again. I've moved the yellow arrow slightly to the right as we make our way toward November. At the bottom, the gray arrow in the box there, we're developing questions for the selected option survey, moving toward the scenario 2, which is the reconfiguration. We have a meeting scheduled for the 30th with Patron Insight, I think Jamie and Greg, and anybody else that would want to be a part of that. We'll develop those questions and bring those back to you for on the 13th for approval, the next bullet down. And then they'll start data collection the next day on the 14th, which will be a Friday, right, and then work all the way to Thanksgiving, take a break, and then the collection should be done around the 1st of December. And then we'll have to review the ballot, have some discussion. As I stated, what's been added to the third box over from the left, heading right, is January 22nd. Board meeting, we'll have to declare if we're going to place something on the ballot. So that arrow, all the arrows will keep moving, and the tasks will start to pick up some.
So we'll have that data at the December meeting.
That's correct. Yeah. So that the information at the December board meeting will inform what we would want to do, but we'll have
a couple meetings.
We'll have to have some discussion before that.
And are you paralleling that with a further study as to what the operating costs of scenario 2 will be? So we have something more refined to look at by that mid-December or January meeting?
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're asking.
Okay. What's it going to cost?
Okay, so if the survey data comes back that they will not, we had 65 cents, 50, 35, and all those intervals. The survey will test the tolerance for support, which will further define the operating expenses that we can afford to put in place. So to know what is supported, I don't know what more to do as far as projected costs for the projects other than the building, the staff at its maximum amount, and what levy or whether it's a lease purchase will occur. So if the community says that 51% will support 50 cents, then that'll further define the scope of what we do and will inform the decision of what to do in December moving toward January. That's the plan. As far as the curriculum and the, talking points and those things that I think you heard some more testimony tonight. I mean, Matt runs the kindergarten registration process, so he asked if he should share some of that, and I thought, well, this would be a good idea. That comes later as we start the campaign. The first question is, what was supported? What was the option? Mm-hmm. Option 2 seems to be where we're headed. What's the level of support in the community? And then further define that scope from there. So.
Jim, do you feel like we need more information maybe from architect or something?
No, not the architect. This has to do with staffing the facility and how we're going to put the classes together.
Okay.
And
because
there's a cost associated with
sure.
that.
Yes, the ongoing.
Half day versus whole day, we've decided. So how many more staff do we need? What's that going to cost us to operate that? What other administrators do we need? Mm-hmm. Or counselors? Or, you take a freshman up to the high school, you need another counselor there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what other
We've worked
personnel
in-
requirements
But we do have to
are there,
balance,
and put
you
in
know.
a budget together so that we see
We
that.
can put together a document that, how we formulated that 1.3 million. We can give you that.
And I would
information.
imagine you're going to refine that as we
Sure,
go along. So
sure.
We
I'm
hope it
asking
goes
if you're going
down.
to parallel the effort of patron insight with this refinement.
Correct.
Right.
We hope the 1.3 comes down. We've talked about peer model and some other things.
Right, exactly.
We have to be able to count on, so.
Putting the options together so that, once we get to the point of seeing the tolerance of the public for a tax increase, that we can make some decisions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And some of the decisions we make will affect that half-day versus whole day.
That's correct.
And also counter that with, I mean, I would assume there'd be some savings in transportation by not having all those buses drive back and forth between junior high and high school.
I don't think so.
No.
I mean,
No.
we've been very upfront about the fact if we're gonna transport kids to existing daycares, preschools, so they'll continue to come, we're gonna incur more costs there.
Right.
But we,
Okay. then
we've
what's-
maximized the amount we think it'll cost by pushing 65 cents out and then seeing where we are,
Okay.
based upon the other schools, what that does to our levy and so, yeah,
I mean, the 1.3, we've always talked about that sort of being the max,
that's correct.
and coming down from that as we identify either sliding scales or braided funding or other things, but,
Even which scenario.
yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, the scenarios vary, they have different requirements based on those scenarios. You know, if you were building a whole new building, we tried to take into account extra cafeteria workers
Right.
and those kind of things. So that was where that number started. And so,
What it costs
So
to
just,
operate
you
it.
take that number and refine it a little
Right,
bit.
okay.
Once we've settled on an option, right? And so, what does that look like in terms of staffing at the high school? What does it look like? Yeah,
The initial discussions we've had with the architect was, can we save the annex?
right.
Right.
There's an option without the auditorium, but then someone's gonna have to, that's gonna go back on the next facility plan, I
Mhm.
assume. There are other variations on that second theme.
Well, and I think if we do too much modification to the option, then the survey results aren't terribly
That's where
accurate.
that survey development, they'll take the subjectivity that we all know about the community out and look completely objective, that your probability of success at 50 cents, if you do that, you're not gonna make it. So then that further defines
Right.
the scope of our project, I believe. And so, yeah, we've quantified that, and that's where that larger amount is. We can break that out further, even, what it costs to run an elementary school, which is the 52,000 square feet, which both of those projects, square footage-wise, is.
Yeah. Well, I think we just focus on option, the reconfiguration of
Right.
the
Yeah.
high school, right?
That's all we're planning to do.
Yeah.
And I would also say that if you recall, the funding scenario also calls for a phase-in.
Right.
If we don't need it, we won't ask, we won't use it. So I've tried to run that out as specific as I can without, we'll continue to
Right.
flush that out.
Yep.
Anything else?
People want
in regards
to see
that?
everything, frequently asked questions, sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Forgot that, I even had that slide. From the community forum, those have been typed and placed on
Right.
the website with input from you all, and I think you may have we'll add to it periodically as people continue to ask questions, so.
So someone has a question, they would email,
You can email us, Nancy or I, just.
and then you'll put it up there.
Get it fleshed out, yeah.